All right, everybody, welcome back. This week we're gonna just kind of chat with Megan, see how things are going over at Elevated Oats, and see what crazy adventures she's been getting up to.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How's things been going over there? I know we just chatted on the podcast, and I know the new packaging is out.
Yeah, so the new packaging is out. We've been changing up how we do our strategy when it comes to social media and what we're gonna like the wholesale strategy. I've been in this course learning about different things to do for that. So it's been a continuous learning, just trying to learn what we can to expand Elevated Oats as best as we can.
I think it's really cool. I've been seeing more and more random people on social media, either popping up with videos or pictures, and then just in my daily life, like I think the school that I'm substituting at now, I have two or three of them hooked on the oats.
Oh, that's nice. My little brothers are 9 and 11 now, and I was kind of sneak doing a sponsorship at their school. So like our logo is going to be on the back of their spirit shirts and stuff. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, so it'll be a nice little surprise for them. And I'm sure they'll be like, "Oh man, my sister owns this company or whatever," you know. And then it's like, "Hey, why don't you guys go talk about Elevated Oats?"
Got to get that free advertising wherever you can, right?
Yeah, and there will be good little salesmen, I think.
And now I know with social media, you guys are very active on. And what is kind of been your drive on that? And what's some tips for maybe people that's not putting it to the forefront? Because it seems like that's a big forefront of your strategy. Because between
Yeah,
you and Lacey, you guys are always posting something.
and it's really not even me. I kind of been like bonus personal stuff. When it comes to our strategy, when we were working with Sarah Katari for just that social media strategy, it was a lot more story based, learning about Elevated Oats behind the scenes, which is great. Love that. Now, how we're simplifying it so that we have more time to focus on the wholesale side of things, because going and talking to wholesalers is its own, I mean, sales is its own avenue, just like social media marketing or whatever. That's its own lane of everything that you're doing. So breaking it up by quarters, being very intentional with your strategy. So our first quarter this year is all based off of community. Elevate your community. So a lot of the posts that you're going to see are going to have to do with coming together, connection, working together. I'm going to be doing a volunteer thing with battle dogs coming up this weekend, and with that going on, this this Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a live, and we're going to be talking. Well, I'll be talking about battle dogs and volunteer, so like the community aspect, and then donating blood. I have a blood donation appointment on Friday, and that's something very close to my heart. And so it's kind of like, what's our focus this quarter, and how can we break it down and be very intentional with all of everything that we post? Not really wasting your time. You want to make sure that what you're doing is important and there's a purpose behind it. Why are we going to talk about these things? We want to show living an elevated oats isn't just about oats. We want to show you that you can elevate your life in many different ways. So with community being the focus this quarter, our next quarter, you're going to see a lot of stuff on social media about elevate your food. So our whole focus will be about different recipes that you can do, or changing your relationship with food. Or Elle, who works with us now, she's going to do a whole thing on when you're bored, think like how to change your mindset when you're bored, and not just resort to eating, because there's so many different aspects. And like for me too, I didn't even realize like the relationship that I had with food and how it was, but I see how people are now. I'm a little more conscious and aware now. So yeah, being intentional. How can we spread the message that we want to spread with social media? And I think that that's just it's our image. Social media is the easiest way for you to look us up and see what we're about. So how do we give you that snapshot of what we're about? We want it to be valuable. We want it to help you out in different ways. We want to help other business owners out in other ways. And so that's another strategy we're taking on for our email marketing. We're going to be sending out specific things only to our wholesale vendors. Be like, hey, maybe this will help you because it helped us. So kind of like that sharing aspect, just becoming more knowledgeable. We've only learned all of this stuff. Like, we've only been learning it. We didn't know this. We didn't go to school for this. You just kind of like play cards and see what happens.
It's funny you say that because I will touch on the point. So when I started the podcast, it was a pure boredom project because being up on the North Slope, I'm a horrible insomniac. I don't sleep, and I couldn't find good podcasts. So I was like, I'll just make my own.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know how to record onto a computer. And then as I got that going, now that we're moving into the video side, there is so much stuff we don't know. And me and my business partner, Scott, he has a lot of experience with videos. He knows that. I know audio, but there's still a lot of it we don't know. And I will say it's people, you've been one of my inspirations. Emily at AK Coffee Company has been one of my inspirations. And there's several other people I've met through podcasting that inspired me to, you know what, you don't have to have all the answers. And you just got to charge forward and run with it.
Yep.
And that's a big thing because I think that's what holds so many great ideas back.
Yes.
Is people are scared. I don't know how to execute this, so I'm just going to leave it sitting right here on the shelf, and that's where it's going to sit for 10 years, and 5 other people are going to come out and do the same thing half-assed of what you would have done it.
Yeah. Or you're a perfectionist and it's not good enough to put out. And so you're like freaking out because you're like, well, I need it to be this way to put it out. But really, you don't. You just got to see what happens. You just have to put it out there and be like, look, this is what we're going to try. And I just was listening to that class today, and it was talking about planning by quarters. And if you plan by quarters, that gives you enough time to kind of see if it works, so you can have a little bit of a measurable data, right? Measurable data to check. And then, then you adjust. So another thing we started doing is now we post on Google. We were never posting on Google. And so now we're going to do that twice a week.
So where on Google are you posting? Like when you say most people, I know Google's experimented with some social media aspects and they've all kind of really never shined. So when you say posting on Google, where is that?
So when you go to like My Google Business, or when you look up a company and then it has it on the right side, it will be like, this is their address, this is their hours, this is whatever they have to say. There's different photos that you have on there too. So
okay,
when we originally set up our Google, like the first bag of banana bread, it says you have over 1,000 views on this photo. And then we just kind of never did anything with Google because it wasn't a thought. But we're posting on Facebook, Instagram. It's like, okay, you have this Facebook and Instagram audience, but not everybody's on Facebook or Instagram, right? So now it's like, well, who are you targeting? Who is your audience? Where are your customers hanging out at? Are my customers hanging out on TikTok? Are my customers hanging out? Like, how are they looking us up? Right? So I feel like a lot of the older crowd would probably use Google to just be like, oh, let me find Elevated Oats. And the cool thing too is like you get these statistics, they'll email you and be like, your website was found on just Elevated Oats. And then it's like Elevated Oats, Alaska, Elevated Oats, Anchorage. So different things they're putting in the search bar, you're kind of starting to learn how people are finding you.
That's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, obviously I've been trying to study up, read on different content creation and stuff. And not even like, I will say Gary Vee is like somebody I follow religiously. And he's pushed LinkedIn, which is, he considers it the most undervalued advertising, but you don't hear about Google anymore. But so many times though, I do the same thing. Like if somebody tells me about a business, first thing I do is go on Google and Facebook and look them up. And I
Yeah.
never thought about that. So I hope somebody watching this
Yeah.
learns from that.
We're going to see if it works or not. It's something new that we've just started doing. And then LinkedIn too. LinkedIn is something that my personal profile we're pretty active on, because it doesn't seem like a lot of people in Alaska use LinkedIn. So my personal profile, we're building it up. You have this network in Alaska, but it's like you have a limited network. And we're going to start posting on the business page. We haven't been focusing on Elevated Oats company page. It's been more of a, let's get, me in front of people, like a PR aspect. And that's what Sarah Katari is doing for us now. So it's going to be like, put me on podcasts, get me talking to different veterans, get us talking to different people so that people can understand what we're doing with Elevated Oats, and that we want it to be bigger than just granola, because it's just not what it's all about for us.
And now you were talking about the charity event you're getting ready to do. What is Battle Dogs exactly?
So Battle Dogs is for veterans, which is really cool. Rick Castillo and then Jesse, I think it's Lacken, and Rick's wife, Jennifer, she's still in, I believe, the Air Guard. They started this nonprofit where warriors will come out, say they are having a difficult time transitioning. They'll come out, they have summer events and winter, or summer camps and winter camps. And the winter camps, which is really cool, it's an interesting story how now I've got reined into like going on one of these adventures. But they'll bring out veterans. They have different little areas on their camp, not areas, like cabins on their, it's very military-like. It's trying to bring in that camaraderie, right? So something that we miss being out of the military is that you don't have that camaraderie. You don't really have everybody that understands the things that you've been through, or like transitioning now and how difficult it is when you do get out and you're not carrying around an M16 every single day of your year, right? So for those people, they'll bring people out, flights paid for, everything is paid for. And it'll be a small group of 4 to 6 people. They'll take them like ice fishing or snow machining, just different types of adventures, bring them together, talk about things, and then encourage seeking help, or whatever the case may be, but just trying to help those warriors transition back to the civilian world.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then Rick Castillo, he's a musher in the Iditarod. So the winter camp, which is really cool. I went out there a couple weeks ago and I was writing his name on all these bags. And we packed up this frozen meat for all the dogs, and then they drop off at all these different points on the Iditarod, which I'm not from Alaska, so all of this is like new for me to learn about also. And I'm like, man, this is so cool. So this next weekend in Talkeetna, it's a majority female group of veterans going out, and we're going to go snow machining out to a lodge, stay there for a couple days, watch the Iditarod come by on the on the track, and then snow machine back. So yeah, it's
that is amazing.
Yeah, and then they have a lot of veterans that are local that they want to help with like a pro staff, right? So when other veterans come out from other parts of the country, like they can call someone up and be like, "Hey, can you help us with this camp?" Or when you become pro staff, because it's all tiered base, you can set up your own camps, and you're going to be like, "Hey, I want to do this ATV trip for a weekend," or whatever the case is. And they facilitate it. It's really nice.
That's pretty awesome to hear. I know the vet community gets, I won't say overlooked, but is not always in the forefront of everybody's mind of what that transition is like coming out of the service, when your day from literally the time your eyeballs open until they closed is strictly routine and planned out for you. I know this might be a controversial comparison, but it's the same as being institutionalized in prison. When you've done it for so long, that is all you know.
Yeah.
And then when you transition out, they offer some classes and stuff, but we know what those are.
Conditioned to be a soldier. You're a soldier 24/7. You don't want to have ailments. can't get caught out doing bad things because it's a way bigger issue than what it normally would be if you're just a civilian. I mean, your property, you sign away yourself. I think there was some crazy rule, like if you got a sunburn and it was so bad, because I was in Hawaii, right? If your skin was so bad to where you damaged yourself and had to like go to sick call or whatever, like you could get in trouble for that. Like it was very interesting.
Government property. That was a big thing on the ships, was if you had any exposed skin. And man, your command staff did not care. They're like, oh, you got a sunburn? Well, you shouldn't have been dumb.
Yeah.
Get back out on the flight deck.
Yeah.
But now I know a big thing that we've talked about a couple times on the podcast, but I think is really cool is with one of your strategies in business is you work side by side with a lot of other business owners at the same time. And how did you come up with that strategy, and how's that feeding into the wider community of Elevated Oats?
Well, I think for Elevated Oats, ideally, the vision is to be wholesale. Like, we don't want to have a retail space. We want you to be selling our stuff. You're winning, we're winning, everybody's winning a little bit. And so with that, you can get it onto, like, if you get your product on a shelf, that's cool, but you still need it to get off of the shelf. You still need people to buy it. So that's where, like, us promoting ourselves on social media, and then where we kind of have that partnership where we're going to put your company out there and be like, hey, you can go to these people and buy our stuff too. We could really be selfish and just be like, hey, go to our website. Period. But that's not how we want to do it. So the people that we work with, I think we all value the same things, which is really important. And so you're hitting an audience and a community that all believes in the same things. We're all striving for those same things. I was just at Blue Market yesterday, and I was talking with Jen, one of the owners, and she's like, man, I love what you post, yada, yada. And I'm like, I love what you post. Like, it's just, you learn from each other. And being a small business owner, if you don't know everything, like, I'm going to constantly be learning from all of these people. Please show me what you just did there. Like, what's the best way that's working for you? I really look up to Heather from Heather's Choice, because I'm like, dude, you're a manufacturer. You've been doing this for years, and I'm trying to do that. Like, how do I do that? Let me watch you, So learning from your surroundings, helping each other out, that just goes back to the community, right? Having those businesses work together. It's like you get to talk to all these different people. Man, I'm sure you've learned so much.
Oh, it's insane. Like, I honestly, when I started this, I had a network of maybe 10 people in Alaska, and it was literally just that first interview with AK Coffee Company. And then I met somebody that sold their stuff. They wanted to find out what I was doing, and it spread from there. And it's, I gotta say, Alaska, especially the small business community up here, is very open. There's not a lot of cutthroatness. Because, I mean, I know with you, even personally, I've messaged you different times. Hey, I have this idea. What do you see in the pros and cons of it?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And I think it's just so amazing that I've been other places where businesses are more about themselves, or because they're afraid of the competition. And I think that's we talk on the podcast a lot about the struggles you have of being in Alaska compared to the lower 48s. But I think one of the advantages is that we have a really open and thriving small business community. And especially with this pandemic, I think it's brought out that spirit a lot more, helping the businesses that are affected from the tourism.
Totally.
I mean, I've seen people posting on Facebook having a meltdown because they don't know what's going to happen to their business now. Because I think even this year we're canceled on most cruises already.
Interesting. Yeah, and then that's where you have to, like, really try to think, how can I pivot and stay alive? Right.
And it's awesome that so many other business owners are like, hey, just have your moment to freak out. That's perfectly fine. But breathe. Here's what we tried. See if this will help you. And you don't get that in a lot of other places.
I would
Other
agree.
places are like, yes, more for me now.
Yes. Yes. And for me, being from California, I saw that all the time. It was very cutthroat. I mean, not just business, not just business, you know? And yeah, it's almost like it's the collective. That's how I like to think of it, like this collective consciousness. Not only that, but you kind of are building a tribe too with this networking and stuff. Like
Yeah.
your tribe attracts your vibe. Like all of these people are kind of getting on board, backing you up. Like, yeah, it's amazing here.
So now I wanted to ask. I don't think I've ever touched on it on the podcast. Who are your business role models, and what do you read or watch to kind of keep you inspired when you do hit that brick, not really brick wall, but that low point where you're just getting frustrated?
So talking to other business owners, period, in general, just because you start to realize that everybody has these moments, and then once you start kind of doing it, once you start going through it, it only gets easier if you realize it. Lacey, I know she's my business partner, but man, she's like my rock when it comes to anything emotional. I start losing it. You know, it's just like, dude, take a deep breath. Like, it's okay. You know, my dad's owned several businesses, and it's kind of like what you can only react. You can only give so much energy to so many things, right? So, like for example, we had an attempted break-in in our building, and many businesses were vandalized. Well, not vandalized, but someone tried to break into a lot of the back doors. They didn't get into ours. They did get into the barber next door, but he didn't really have anything to take, fortunately. But it's like when I told people, you know, it's like, oh my God. Oh, and I'm like, I already got something else going on. I can't even, they didn't get in. Cool. I love doing something else. I can't really afford to stay there. So I've learned a lot when it comes to that from my dad. He's a very go, 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 get things done situation. And then that just came from his dad. So my grandpa, same thing, all still working. 70s years in his 70s. He just sold his business, which is great. He's consulting for 3 years, but it's we always say like it's a Militello thing, which is silly. When it comes to books and watching, I have been, the one book that I probably harp on the most is called The E-Myth. And then when it comes to like my personal, it's not even personal, I don't really focus on too many business things because I'm trying to focus on my own personal, like emotional healing. And so a lot of that has been what I focus on that has really helped me change my mindset. And having that different mindset just translates to the business side of things, you know, and then the business side of things, you're doing what you got to do. You're moving on. You're, you know, more level headed, making better decisions for the whole, seeing the vision a little more clearly. It's been nice, I think. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've been diving down through. One of the things I've learned is to basically get a $50 college education. So when we started doing this video stuff, I went to the New York Film Academy.
Uh,
I pulled up their syllabus for their reading list and started ordering those books.
oh, interesting. Nice.
Because I'm like, there's stuff I need to learn that I don't have $100,000 to learn it.
Totally.
And then, yeah, I've been, like I said, obsessed. Podcast, obviously, that's always my go-to, and it's so funny because if somebody looks at my podcast list, they're probably highly confused because that's my motivator and my stress relief at the same time.
Interesting. I'm not very good at podcasts. I think I will listen to podcasts if people send them to me, but I don't take the time to actually seek out things. So a lot of recommendations always come to me, which I'm always very happy about, which is great. Yeah.
And now, I know your Instagram. You're very active out here hiking, and just getting out and enjoying this beautiful state. What is your top 3 hiking places? I'm going to throw the hard questions at you now.
Top 3 hiking places. I would say going up the Twin Peaks Trail on Eklutna Lake is really something special and magical, especially when you go to the second bench and then you keep going. And when you keep going, you're going along the saddle of the mountain. And then when you come out on the other side, granted, you've already seen Eklutna, you're just higher, right? But when you come out, for me, like you're like running to the edge right there, and it's like, oh, I'm about to see this magic, and then it's like, boom! It's like, whoa, this is crazy. Reed's Lake was also like that. Oh, Reed's Lake was something else. That was powerful place. Like those mountains, like surrounding you, and the water rush. It's just great. And we like to go off trail too, so we have a little bit more fun, like being up in the and stuff. Ooh, last one. I would say, Wolverine's also really good. That's one we tend to do frequently.
Where's Wolverine at? I haven't heard of that one.
Wolverine is super close. It's by. Are you familiar with Near Point?
Yes.
Okay, so it splits. If you go to Prospect Heights, there's a Prospect Heights Trail. Or there's the other side, I think. You can hit Wolverine or Near Point from each of those directions. But that is another really beautiful peak and view. Anything with a peak, I'm really happy about. There's something about conquering that mountain. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of challenge. It's a lot of mental strength to like push yourself there. So it definitely is very fulfilling and gives me like an energy charge almost too.
I know your pictures, you can, just the ones you post on Instagram, you can see the energy in your pictures. Because there's people that will post pictures and they're just kind of flat. Like, I mean, they're pretty, but they don't really catch your attention. They're just kind of flat. And yours, you're always just like, yeah. You can see that energy just vibrating from it.
I'm very fortunate to have a great group of goats. We all go out and we're all challenging each other, and my dad joins us for those too. And it's something else. And then my dog Poncho, I just got him back from Hawaii. And so he's just at home up there. Amazing.
That had to be a confusing flight for him going from tropics to here's -10. Don't worry, you only got 2 months of it left.
Yep. He's gonna be very popular in Alaska, I'm sure. My friend Renee is always posting videos of him in like these hiking groups, and I'm like, oh my god, look at Poncho! He's just so happy. That's great.
And now, is there any trips on your bucket list here in Alaska that you're hoping to knock out this year?
Ooh, nothing specific. I would say more so I'm preparing for overnights. So that's the goal this summer is like, and I'm not like 5 days in a row, but just like one night out there, because I have a hard time separating myself and stopping anyways. So I just got some gear with my REI dividend just for overnight trips. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to be the kicker this summer.
Nice. I got 2 that, one I know we're getting done for sure. Like the day school's out, we're headed to, and that is to go to Chicken.
See, I've hardly heard of Chicken.
So it was supposed to be Ptarmigan was supposed to be the name of it, but they couldn't pronounce Ptarmigan. So they named it Chicken, and I guess there's nothing up there but like a restaurant and a campground. But I was on Google Maps looking for something else, and I seen Chicken, Alaska, and I was just like, oh my God, I have to go to Chicken.
I wonder what the restaurant has.
They better have chicken, because I want fried chicken in Chicken, Alaska.
Yeah, that would be the best.
And then our dream trip, hopefully we can pull it off this summer, is we were watching the BBC documentary on Alaska, and there is a desert in the far north of Alaska.
Interesting.
And you fly into Whitehorse on like Alaska Airlines, and then you get a puddle jumper from Whitehorse out there, and there's like a little forest with the sand that you can stay on.
Huh.
And that's like, ever since I seen that, I was like, oh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's funny because I have not thought of anything personal I'd like to do because all I think about is like these shows, right? Like different shows coming up. And so my whole focus has been like on the next couple months. It's like, oh, well, going up to Fairbanks, 2 weeks, we're going to be up in Fairbanks for a show. And then Memorial Day, there's another show up in Fairbanks. So that'll be nice. I'm going to go up there and spend a couple extra days just to explore a little bit.
Chena Hot Springs. If you haven't been there yet, you got to check it out.
Last time we were up there, I went with my friend Renee, and my little brothers had no clue that we couldn't have like kids in the hot springs. So I was like, hey, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. And I like went. Amazing.
I did not know that, actually. I didn't know you could.
Can't be under 18, I believe. So, and then I was like, okay, it's your turn. Go check it out. But I'm excited to go up there and just enjoy it for myself. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Megan. I know you probably got some stuff to do, but thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Mitchell, for having me. I always enjoy talking to you.
All right. Bye.
All right. See you.